Hello and welcome. My name is Barry O'Donovan, for those of you that don't know me. This is the next video in a continuing series of tutorials in IXP Manager. This one's going to be a little bit different. What I want to do today, and a problem I've come up against today through the commercial support program, is upgrading a version of IXP Manager that's quite old, a legacy version of IXP Manager, and to try and upgrade that to the current latest version. Usually when you upgrade IXP Manager, there's quite a lot of steps to go through. But one of the problems you're going to face when you're upgrading a legacy version, especially one that's a few years old, is, and of course there'll be many ways to do it, but the way I'm doing it is part of the particular work I'm doing is I'm installing a brand new server to create a brand new platform for IXP Manager. So I've got a brand new server that's running Ubuntu 20.04 with Php 7.0, and I need to take the database of IXP Manager that's version 4.9.3. So it is a couple of years old. I need to take that and upgrade it on this new platform. And the problem, as we'll see, is that when you leave the upgrades, when you leave your version of IXP Manager get very stale, you're going to have these competing problems where the new server, the software in the new server, so for example the version of PHP 4 on the new server, will be too new, and some of the code on the older legacy version of IXP Manager won't work. Or if you're doing it the other way around, where you're trying to upgrade in situ on the legacy server, as you go through the steps, you're going to reach a version that's too new to work on your old version of PHP or your old software stack. What you can do in some situations is you can upgrade IXP Manager and then do a platform upgrade. So maybe you can go from Ubuntu 16.04 to 18.04, do your next bit of IXP Manager, and then go from 18.04 to 20.04. Again, that is certainly a way that will work, and it is obviously quite time intensive. What I'm going to do, as I said, is I'm going to take the old database from 4.9.3 and try and install it on a modern platform using a modern day version of IXP Manager, which is 5.7. And I'm going to do this. So this is a little bit different than the tutorials that we've had already. This is more of a workshop kind of video where we're going to do this live. So I've tinkered only a tiny bit just to try and get the environment set up that I can record this. But I haven't actually managed to do this. So we're going to do this live, and you're going to see the problems that come up in real time as I see them, and we're going to have to try and you're going to get to watch me try and figure out how to solve them. The platform we're doing this on is CommunityIX, which is a Internet exchange in Florida and Atlanta, and what they've asked me to do particularly is upgrade their Atlanta IX version of IXP Manager to 5.7. So what I have here is a brand new server, which I've installed. I've just gone installed through the standard IXP Manager installation, and you can use the automated script or the manual version of doing it. Is I have installed a IXP Manager fully. If you're doing it the manual way, you don't need to do the database. If you do it the automated way, you'll have a database. In that case, what's probably best to do if you have a database is do what I did here as an example. So I'm just going to drop and recreate the database itself. So that's going to wipe everything, give me a brand new clean database. It's better to do this than do a MySQL dump into it, because a MySQL dump won't remove any of the new tables that wouldn't have existed in older versions of IXP Manager. So you're better off, assuming of course you have a backup, you're better off dropping the database and just creating a blank one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the database dump I have from Atlanta IX, which is from the 4.9.3 version. So I'm going to take that dump and I'm just going to send it into MySQL. By the way, these variables, just a very useful trick in case you don't know it. The .env configuration file that IXP Manager uses can actually be read by bash or ZSH scripts. So you can actually source that .env file, and when you do that, you can then use the variables that are in it, just like these guys here, which is very useful here because it makes recording this much easier because I don't have to reveal the password as an example. So I'm just going to drop that in. Just should take a second. As we go through this, if there is any sort of information that, such as passwords or hashes and stuff like that, that I might need to do, I might just pause the recording and just get that done off screen, and then we'll continue on again. So I should have my database here now. Show tables. Oh, sorry. Use IXP Manager. Show tables, and there we go. Now, great. So we have that. Let me show you where I am on this Git branch. So I'm on release v5, and if I look at git tags, git tag, you'll see that we go up to 5.7.0. So that was only released in the last week or two. So that is basically, by being on release v5, I am effectively on v5.7.0. So what we now need to do is figure out how to get from 4.7.3, which is a database, to 5.7. So let's have a look at the release notes. Again, this isn't something that I know off by heart. This is something I have to do as well. Okay, so there's 5.7, released 18 days ago. Let's see how far this is. Okay, so it just so happens that on our pagination here that the last one is 4.9.3. That was released, so it's a year and a half ago. So it's actually not that old. So a year and a half ago, 4.9.3, and that is where Atlanta IX is. So we need to get from there through the versions. And what we would typically recommend for people to do is if you're upgrading from 5.1 to 5.7, for example, we would typically recommend you go from 5.2 to 5.3 to 5.4 to 5.6 to 5.7. Do it in sequence. The reason for that is sometimes, while the upgrade process really isn't very difficult at all, there is quite often some manual steps that you need to go through. Database changes, migration, stuff like that. There's probably definitely an argument for scripting the upgrades, but we haven't done that so far. That's fraught with its own difficulties. So from 4.9.3 to version 5 was quite big. It was really big. 646 commits, 970 files changed. Okay. So my hope is that by scanning the release notes, I can skip some of the minor versions just to speed the process up, but we definitely don't want to skip going here because quite a few things change, including the handling of users, and this is also where we introduced a whole new upgrade process. So I guess the best thing we should do is, we've got our database now, which is 4.9.3. So let's check out v5.0.0. So let's go to that code base as if we're doing the upgrade from 4.7.3 to 5. So what I want to do here is composer install no development libraries and prefer distribution, which just makes it a bit smaller. So I want to install the necessary libraries. So you can see here I'm downgrading an awful lot of packages, and now I've got some PHP bugs. So this is to be expected, right? Because I'm running PHP 5.4 here, and this version of IXP Manager 5.0 definitely wasn't expected to work with 5.4. And one of the things that happened in 5.4 is unparenthesized ternary operators were deprecated because the actual order evaluation in PHP, as it turns out, is different than most languages, so it used to cause confusion. So we need to fix those. And again, this really is where, and it's a prime example of why you should really try and stay current with IXP Manager releases, because as we step through PHP versions, you are going to find issues like this. And as one of the principles of development in IXP Manager we have is we try and stay current with PHP, and to prevent developer apathy and to try and keep developer focused and interested in the project, is we do strive to use the new features of the new versions of the languages. So you will run into these problems if you don't try and keep up with the upgrades. So it's in contract controller line 332. So let's, I'm going to just edit that. My editor of choice is Joe. So I happen to know where this is, and fortunately that I'm recording this, you will know where it is also. So it's line 332. Let's see, 332. So I already looked at this earlier on today. So what we're looking at here is we're going through some user input, and essentially what we're doing is defaulting. We're defaulting the input if none is picked, and that was done in a nested turning operator. Yeah, okay, that's probably not the best coding practice in the world, but it is what it is. Now I can see what's happening here. So this is what we want. Yeah, that's what we want. So let's get out of there. Again, this is being recorded. It's going to be on YouTube. So my assumption here as we do this is that if anything comes up here, that, you know, if I go too fast on making these changes, you can pause it and do it at your own pace. So HP controllers, controllers. We've got another one. Now, as I say, I took a quick look at this earlier on. There isn't that many, thankfully. So 381. Right, I see here again, we're defaulting user input, and we've got 3 instances of it here. So what was intended and how PHP worked is that it would be ordered like this. By the way, in Joe, you can see there on the top right of the screen, you can see what row, what line I'm on, 386 and column. So if you're trying to do this yourself, that information is right there for you. So let's block these out, KX, and let's see what happens there. So I made a mistake there, 381, what did I do wrong? Yeah. I got far too ambitious here. Put this in the wrong spot, so this actually belongs here. As I said, I'm doing this live, so you get to see my mistakes as well. 386, I did it twice today. 386. Yep. Okay, good. So what we've done there is we've installed version, by checking out, we've installed version 5.0.0. And we have a database of 4.9.3. So what we need to do is look at the release notes for 5.0.0 and see what we need to do. Now, again, as I say, I'm quite used to these upgrade instructions, so I'm going to go through this quite fast, but you can pause it and read whatever it is that you need to read. Let's see, set up some variables, right. We'll set this anyway because it's good to have. Let's see then. This is all about setting file permissions, which is perfectly fine. I don't need to do this now. We'll come back and do that at the end. This is not live, so I'm not going to worry about putting on maintenance mode. There's no one trying to log into this. So yeah, I've already got my version 5. I've done my composer update, that's fine. I'm not using memcache on this, I'm pretty sure, but I'm going to clear it out anyway. As in, I haven't set it up yet, it's just a default install. Default manual install, I should say. Okay, so now we want to have a look at our database schema. So let's see what's going to change from 4.9.3 to version 5. Okay, I'm just having a quick scan through this myself. Yeah, so I am happy. That looks sane to me and I recognize it. So I switched from SQL to Force to actually make the changes. And then, so that's the Doctrine way of doing things, and then the Artisan way is this. So we'll just create a couple of more tables, that's fine. Restart memcache again. I'm not worried about file permissions right now because the web server isn't running, no one's trying to log into the website. This is really belt and braces, it just clears out every possible thing that can be cached. So I did put on maintenance mode, recreate the views. I don't need that now because they're not going to be used for anything. So we'll do that as the last when we're getting up to version 5.7. We worry about the views. var should be gone. It is gone because I did a fresh install. Var would be there from earlier versions of PHP Manager, and bower should be gone. And again, it is gone here because again I did a fresh install. Root server configuration changes is about going from bird version 1 to bird version 2, and if you're doing that, you should read through this, plus some bird's eye changes. And if you're using bird's eye, then you need to put this into your existing bird configs. So here's one of the big changes between 4.9.3 and version 5 is we changed user management in a number of ways. Some of the things we did are quite sane in that, for example, now a user can be linked to more than one customer or member or network. And in our industry, we find that many people might be consultants or contractors and may help out on more than one network. And also, it's quite useful for the IXP, who we may help out one or two members particularly, and it may be quite useful for us with those members when we do upgrades and stuff that we check, that we have access to some accounts to check where we might have a sort of an agreement there. We are, in a previous version, we linked contacts to users. That was undone in version 4.9. The database schema that we did here actually just got rid of the database columns that linked it. Change the authorization system for current roles, custom and custom users. Right, so the current forms of custadmin. Yeah, the custadmin in IXP Manager up to this point, its only purpose was to create other users and contacts. It couldn't do anything else. It didn't look at graphs or anything like that. So, and it was based on the very old Ripe-Lear portal where the same kind of concept of an admin account existed. What we're doing from version 5 onwards is, conceptually, is we're making custadmin effectively a read-write admin user and a cust user as a read-only user. So what we would recommend is that all existing custadmins would be deleted. Again, remember, these users couldn't do anything except create other users and contacts. So there shouldn't be any problem deleting them. And the recommendation from us to other IXP Manager users was to just get rid of the custadmins and then to promote all the cust users. So to make these changes, carry out the following commands. Okay, so we're going to get rid of any old log files. That, as well as being a sensible thing to do, that's also very important for things like data retention periods and GDPR and other data privacy reasons. So again, we can just run that, that's fine. Look, it's got rid of any login records that were more than 6 months old. So what this command is going to do is it's going to take all of the existing users and customers, and it's going to create a user to customer link in a new pivot table. In a many-to-many table, so that those users then can be assigned to other customers as well. So I'm going to take that here, I'm going to run it. So only run once and only when upgrading IXP Manager version 5.0 from 4.9x. This will truncate the customer user end-to-end table. So it means that any users created after upgrading to version 5 will be unlinked from their customers, right? So this command will restructure data from one to end to end to end. That's all fine, and I want to do that. That's perfectly fine to do. And we have a problem. Okay, so again, this is going to be down to a PHP 7.4 issue. So what we're going to do here is we're going to tail storage. Sorry, are we in the right place? No, cd serve IXP Manager. Tail-f storage logs laravel, and let's run that command one more time. Oh, sorry, yes. So where do we have a problem here? This guy, 2856. Looks like we're trying to access a non-existent array member. 2856. Okay, now 2856. So right, here we go. So what we're going to do is make sure that this variable is set before we try and access it, which is a new better logic checking in PHP, in later versions of PHP. So if it actually exists and then it has a value, it's fine. Let's see if that's enough. That, by the way, was that file was in a nothing to do with IXP Manager. You can see here it's in the vendor directory. So it's a library file. Great. So we've migrated those users. And now we want to delete the custadmin users. Optional but recommended. So again, it is recommended, and that's what I'm going to do here. Yes, I want to do that. Okay, so there's 25 of those. And then promote cust users. So that turns any existing customer user into a read-write user. It looks like there was none of those. Okay. Okay, sorry if you didn't cop on there. I actually paused that recording for a second and I went back. I actually put the database dump back in and just went back over those steps again, because it looks like this particular IXP had actually created cust admins in anticipation of what I was going to do. So this would be an exception to where we should remove cust admins, because in this particular instance, these cust admins are actually created for the purpose of being cust admins in the new schema. Okay. Task scheduler, that's fine. That's the standard part of IXP Manager now. So what you want to do is put this in your cron job. Again, I'm not going to do that just yet because this isn't actually live. Third-party integrations, that's all fine. Templates. So these are kind of templates that if you have skinned these, you may want to take a look at them because of CSS changes from 4.9 to 5. They may now look a little bit funny. So that's fine. That is actually us finished going to 5.0.0. I have it here. I don't know if that will work or anything. Ah, there we go. So you can see 1.5.0.0. I'm not going to log in or anything here. We're still in mid-upgrade. You can log in if you like as you go through this, but I'm going to keep going. So we've done 5.0.0. What I'm going to have a quick look at now is 5.1.0. What I want to do is I want to evaluate, can we skip some of these? My decision on that, just based on my own experience, but also as the lead developer, is just trying to gauge the number of database changes, particularly any database steps that are coupled with other versions. So if you, for example, if in 5.1 we made a database chain migration, started it, and then in 5.2 we removed columns as part of that. So you might be migrating data from one column to another column or table in one version, and then in the next version you'll tidy up the old legacy column. But if you skip those two versions, you're going to miss that entirely. So what I'm doing is just flicking through this to try and get a handle on what database changes we have made. So housekeeping, okay. So there's nothing in 5.1 that has me concerned. So let's see if we can jump to 5.2. What happened in 5.2? Appearing to be old. Okay, that's actually not as big a change as it might sound. Appearing to be old. Okay, that's just database flag. That's fine. Obviously, sorry. I mean, it should be clear that when you're doing this, you need to go through these things in detail and see how they affect your root service and stuff like that. For me, I'm building a new machine, so I'm going to come back. What I want to do here is walk you through the headache of actually getting the upgrade process done in terms of the PHP and IXP Manager. I'll come back and look at this again after the fact to judge what needs to happen in terms of root servers and things like that. So again, just looking through that, nothing there that concerns me. So we're currently on 5.0. I'm going to skip 5.1 and 5.2. I'm going now 5.3. Let's see what happens in 5.3. Two-factor authentication. That's quite a big change. Yeah, I'm aware of that one too. Okay. Yeah, let's go to 5.3. Let's not push our luck here. Let's go to 5.3. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a git. So look, let's do git status first. Right, there's 2 edited files here, which are the ones we know. I need to revert those to what they were, because I can't do an upgrade otherwise. And that whatever was in there may well have been fixed by the time we get to 5.3. Maybe it comes later, and we're going to have to make those changes again. We'll see. So let's git checkout v5.3.0. So I need to upgrade my libraries again. So composer install, prefer dist, no dev. So these commands, this composer install command, that's all part of the standard upgrade documentation. So obviously when you're doing this, I know I'm going, again, I know I keep saying I'm going fast, but there's an upgrading document here. All of those instructions I'm doing. So my git checkout, my composer install, no dev, prefer dist. You can see I don't type any of this. I just type composer install no dev prefer dist. It says composer is a command in Ubuntu 20.04, and I'm doing everything as root at the moment because the web server isn't running. I'm not worried about the web server file permissions right now. And the reason we write it like this in the documentation is because we're trying to make it agnostic to the different operating systems or versions of operating systems you might be using. So sorry, I was doing my. Okay, this is great actually. Yeah, let's just have a quick look at the composer file. Composer.json. So PHP 7.2. Okay, so I'm on 7.4 here. Right. I just wanted to see what version of PHP. Control C. These changes. Yes. Right. So that's good. What that means there is the upgrade went well. Those changes I had to make manually to the PHP files I don't have to make here. So I've done my composer update. I beg your pardon, my composer install. We'll do this just to be sure. Okay. Now let's see what database changes. This will be the way this works is this will not just be between 5.2 and 5.3. It's going to be from whatever's in the database right now, which is 5.0. What changes between 5.0 and where I am in 5.3. So these are all the changes that have been stacked up in those versions. So we created a sessions table, that's fine. User two-factor authentication as we expected. User member tokens, all part of the 2FA stuff. 2FA user member tokens. Yeah, we've added software version, operating systems, RFC 1997 to the routers. We've done some sort of patch panel port history, API keys. Yeah, some switch stuff, infrastructure, patch panel. Okay. Cost pairing DB OAuth, that's fine, and location is fine. So that's all what I expect to see here. So I'm checking this for you. If yours looks the same, you know you're good to go. Let me do migration. So there's actually no migrations pending there, but we'll just run it, and that will just keep us clear. Right, great. We'll do this. And sorry, just before we start here again, sorry now, I want to just remind you, consider if you need to make a backup. Remember, in the environment I'm on a brand new server, working off a database dump. So if I have to go back and start this again, I've only put in whatever it is, 30 odd minutes work here. It's not a big deal, but if you're working in a production system, make sure you've got backups. Did a restart. I'm not worried about permissions. Belt and braces, we're just going to do this. Right, I'd never put on maintenance mode, that's fine. The views I'm going to come back to later, and yeah, again, I'll come back to that later. Okay. So that's all done here. So now I've done the official upgrade steps. Now I'm going to go back to v5.1, and I just want to pick up any upgrade instructions, like, per version specific steps that I might have missed. So I'm just glancing down through here. So database housekeeping, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. So it wants me to execute the following. That's absolutely fine. And actually, now that I look at that, let's just edit this. That could be better for sure. Right, that shouldn't be a bullet point. That should be MySQL. We'll just save that as update release. So sorry, let me just go back to all the releases. Scooch back down to v5.1. Okay, so there's my command. So let's go into my database here. So if there was a gap in the video there, I flicked onto a screen that had some data on it that I couldn't have in the recording, so I just had to stop it so I could edit that out. What I was doing was I was going to paste in that command. So here we go, update customer to user, set last login date, and where last login date is that. So that's just with database housekeeping. And that looks like the only thing I had to do in 5.1. Yeah, so let's have a look at 5.2 then. Any changes required here? So definitely stuff you want to look at in terms of your root servers and things like that. But otherwise, there's actually nothing there. So nothing I need to do in terms of the actual IXP Manager itself. And then in this one, so we've got post upgrade tasks, some very old database, bad default value in some columns. So again, let's take this and let's drop that in. Okay, screw it, patch history. So please edit your infrastructures and set the new country field, and then edit your facilities and set the city and country field if it's provided. Definitely something you need to do. Again, that would be something I'll do offline. This is something I do need to run. I don't think this particular IXP is using patch panels in any particular way. No, so no rows matched. Okay, this is great. This brought us to 5.3. We're getting much closer to 5.7 now. So let's see what's in 5.4. I think I can actually start skipping a bunch of these because these ones are much more recent, so they're much more fresh in my memory. So for example, 5.4 has no post upgrade tasks, so that's fine. That's just a bug fix release, so that won't have anything that's relatively important with it. Did I see something there? Nope. Member port utilization, again, it's going to be database stuff. And no post upgrade instructions. Great. It's per member, fish upgrade, security fix, per member document store, small features improvements. So again, there's no actual non-standard upgrade instructions in there, and that brings us to 5.7. Yeah, if you're seeing this, this is just a little hint that you can do this. I'm going to do it right now. It causes a very minor bug. So 5.7. So what we're going to do is we can do a git checkout v5.7.0, or what you can do is git checkout release v5. So release v5 is the current version as released, plus any minor changes that are pending the next release. And if you pull from release v5, you're basically taking the latest version. Just make sure you follow the standard upgrade instructions. Wouldn't ordinarily recommend it, but I know. In fact, I'll tell you what. Let's stick with what's recommended and what is known to work, and let's do what we're meant to do, which is check out v5.7.0. Let's not mess around here. Okay. So again, we need to do a composer. Install no development libraries and prefer distribution. This is really quick for me, by the way, because all of these have been cached because I've done a previous run and because I installed IXP Manager version 5.7. So all of these were cached already. So that's great. We're bang up to v5.7 now. In fact, I don't know if it'll work, but let's just do a Shift F5 on this and see. All right, the reason that's not working is because I need to do some database changes. So let's do the official upgrade instructions. And this is sort of to bring us to 5.7 proper. So we'd be skipping less. We'd be skipping less of these steps on this. So I've done my 5.7.0. I've done my composer update. So let's clear these caches here. Okay, let's do the SQL and see what's going to happen there. So I wrote a bunch of stuff in terms of the port utilization stuff, and then some other minor changes along the way. So we can force that through. That all looks fine. Then there's probably some migration steps. There's a bunch of migrations on the Laravel way of doing migrations. What we're doing, by the way, in the background is moving everything towards Laravel. So in a couple of versions of IXP Manager, hopefully you'll only be doing the Laravel way. There'll be no more the Doctrine way. Ideally, that would mean now that I could do a Shift F5 here. Super. So there's IXP Manager 5.7.0. So I've just done those two steps there. Restart this. Fix my file ownerships, belt and braces here in terms of the caching. I never put the maintenance mode, so that's fine. I need to reset the SQL views, so I'm going to do MySQL-U db username -p db password db database. Just import from here. These views, by the way, are also becoming legacy very fast. And that's actually it, folks. That actually surprisingly took us about 40 minutes without going through the individual steps. And I want to just emphasize this critically. You need to go through. It is a much bigger job than just this, but I think this is the hardest bit, especially if you end up in this dependency nightmare of old versions of IXP Manager not working with current versions of PHP or vice versa. So I think this is the hardest piece of the jigsaw now that we've completed. So this is now running on version 5.7. The trick now is to go back through versions 5.0 through 5.7. And go through all of the changes in terms of root server config changes, if you're switching to Bird or anything else. If you're sticking with Bird v1, it should be absolutely fine. You shouldn't need to do anything. If you're using Bird's Eye, of course, you need to add in those little bit of config snippets around date and time format. There's a few changes to do in terms of like setting your country in the infrastructures. So there is definitely some housekeeping to do. But again, like I said, I hope this puts us in a place where the hardest piece is done. And I hope also that just seeing the process of having to edit a couple of PHP files and that kind of messing, hopefully this will entice you to keep a lot more lockstep in terms of IXP Manager releases. As always, I'm happy to take feedback and comments. You'll get me at Barrio79 on Twitter. You'll get IXP Manager Project at IXP Manager. And of course on the mailing list and everywhere else as well. Thank you. And again, I hope that was or will prove to be useful. Cheers.